everybody, and welcome to a brand new season of Chocobo Dash 2015. So let's start off with a brand new season. I'm one of your hosts, Nell Celestine.
And I am your other host, Elliot Lefebvre, who is now being played by a different actor.
I don't recall hiring a different actor.
Yeah, it was a union dispute.
Okay, I'll have to have a talk with our union representative later. But as you can see, it has been a couple of weeks since we've been AFK, so to speak. But I managed to take a look at the iTunes thing and having a touch of a problem with that. So I just said, fudge it. And all the episodes are going to be up on a Dropbox link, which will be at the bottom of each episode on YouTube.
That way you can record them and use them and listen to them whenever you want to. It's really all right. We don't mind to send them to your friends.
Yeah, and like if anybody else wants to give a hand trying to help me figure out iTunes, more than willing to listen and learn. But speaking of which, did you hear about Ultima Final Fantasy podcast?
I actually didn't. I heard that we got a shout out on there, but I have not taken a listen to it yet.
They actually had a contest, a poll, so to speak, amongst their community and made it open to everybody else for best podcast for 2014. And we didn't make the list, which I can understand a little bit. That found out later that the quote requirements that they wanted was an RSS subscription. So I can understand that. Limit Break Radio won, so good props to them. I mean, LBR's been around forever, and they totally deserve it. Mm-hmm. But we actually had a couple of fans say, oh, well, why wasn't Chocobo Dash nominated?
Yeah, so we do appreciate the shout-out, even though we didn't win. It's fine. Limit Break Radio is an excellent show, and if you're not already listening to it, you really should.
Agreed. All the podcasts that they mentioned on Ultima Final Fantasy, which, by the way, go and look them up. Great guys. I met them at FanFest. They're totally awesome. But yeah, they gave an honorable mention to us on their awards show. So I have to say that was pretty amazing and totally blew me away that they did that. But speaking of being blown away, whoa, we've got a lot of news in between when we took our short hiatus and now.
Oh, yes, we had much news from Japan.
Okay, seriously, stop that.
But I could have kept this going all year. It could have been a thing for the next season.
No, just stop.
Man, you are ruining every gimmick.
Says the one wearing a fake mustache.
This fake mustache is a mustache of power. The only thing that's not good about it is the fact that I can't dye it. And if I could dye it, the only problem would be that I wouldn't have enough inventory space to have one dyed every single color. Especially metallic blue.
I am facepalming so hard right now.
Especially metallic blue. I want to stress that again.
But seriously though, FanFest, Tokyo, holy crap.
Yep.
Machinist. I kind of thought that was coming. Like, a lot of people were speculating that it might be the same class as Sid. We thought it might have been a gun mage. But, you know, I like this.
I think I had speculated before that it was going to be engineer. I'm going to call this close enough to being spitting distance.
This is true. Engineer does look and act a lot like machinist.
Yeah, close cousins, you know, engineer, machinist, yeah. I'm going to call it, I think in one of the games, Mustadio's class was translated as engineer, and other it was machinist, so split the difference.
One of the other classes announced was Astrologian. Astrologian?
Yes, Astrologian.
That was kind of out of left field, but I have to say I like it. I like the look of it. It makes me want to actually play a healer class.
I was very impressed by it. I mean, it looks like I had speculated we were going to be getting... What I had thought we would get is basically, like, Astrologian as a class and something like Time Mage as a job. I didn't think we would get Astrologian in its current incarnation as a healer, which does look like it's incorporating a lot of stuff from, say, Time Mage and that sort of thing. But I'm interested to see how it plays out and how it differentiates itself from Scholar and White Mage.
That will be an interesting factor to see. Now, if I remember correctly as well, they also did say something about there was another job they were going to reveal, and I imagine it's going to be a lot closer to the actual release.
Yeah, we got some time coming up. I mean, obviously, we don't know exactly when it's being released yet, but we do know that 2.5 is dropping on January 20th, so it's a little birthday present for me.
Not to mention, it's being split into two parts. So the first part's on there, and then when we get 2.51, we get access to the Manderville Gold Saucer.
And then the last part, which they've said is going to drop in late March, so I would imagine that the Gold Saucer is coming probably in late February.
And then shortly afterwards, so I'm saying May-ish, we'll probably see the expansion.
I think early May is a safe bet. A little past the 3-month mark, but not by much.
And then we'll all be able to play as the new race, the
Yep.
Aura.
Oh, that's how you're pronouncing. I've been pronouncing it distinctly. Oh, Ra.
I'm pronouncing it Aura because it looks like that's the way it works, but we'll find out exactly once we get access to it, I imagine.
Yep.
And
So
we're going to be getting lore on that, lore on the Astrologian, and especially something that actually interests me. I'm not sure. Did you read the slight bit of lore on the Astrologian that's out already?
You mean the part about the name?
Yes.
Yes, I did. That for those of you, obviously this subtlety is not quite replicated in English, but the term for astrologian is in Japanese is slightly different than the one for the astrologians that are referred to around Ishgard. So rather than it being a Ishgardian job, it is a Charlean job.
Which makes me wonder, are we going to Charlemagne at all?
Which we might. Remember, we're going, what they've said, the many panels have said, we're going north of what we've seen of Querthus Central Highlands. So that means we're going up, towards Dravania, but also towards Charlayan. So that we do have that space there, and that may also explain some of the presence of the Aura. It may also explain where Machinist is coming from and where we're getting access to some of these tricks that may not be necessarily Ishgardian.
Pardon me. Oh.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. But I do have to wonder how this is going to work out as a whole. Like, I don't want to spoil too much of the storyline, but the problem with the students of Baldessaron, once you get to a certain point in the storyline, they have had a bit of an issue recently. And it makes me wonder, 1, why that happened, 2, how that's happened, and 3, how this is going to relate once we get there.
And I have a feeling that may be that could also tie into why it is we're, picking up Astrologian, because what's left of the students is no longer up north, or at least not as far north as they had been before.
This is true.
There's a lot of room there.
So much speculation.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff. There's not a whole lot of hard information, although what we do know, the hard information we do know is that Machinist, and I'm just going to pick on Machinist here because that's going to be another main class for me.
You already got Ninja. The Machinist is mine. Bugger off.
Machinist is mine. Machinist, this has been a thing for Rio since okay, we're going to have a fist fight over this later. But the point is, right now, we're talking about Machinist, so cool it. Machinist is going to apparently have more of a positioning element to it because we've seen them with their little floaty gadget, and we've been told that it's going to play differently than Bard. It's going to have more of an element of positioning and working with various fields and gadgets and turrets that you deploy.
I'm hoping that the positioning requirements is less positioning on the boss and more positioning with your drones, because otherwise it's going to be heck trying to play a ranged class and having to run far around the mob.
Yep. That's already problematic enough for monk players, and we don't really need to add another class like this, but I think it's an interesting possible twist on the formula compared to what we already see with, as I just mentioned, Bard, where, being at ranged, you don't really have as a Bard, you don't have combos exactly. You have more sort of chains of priorities. And I'm interested to see if Machinist is more about place your turrets right and try to get in the right sort of crossfire.
That would be interesting, having crossfire benefits. But
I'm also wondering if it's going to include some sort of, because at least theoretically, and I imagine more so going into the expansion, Bard kind of trades, because Bard is already at range, the idea is that Bard seems to trade some direct damage for utility, because you have songs to buff the rest of your party. So I'm wondering if Machinist is going to continue that trend with some sort of, say, maybe benefits to having turrets out or debuffs that get applied to the target.
Well, we'll have to see. Unfortunately, we don't have that much to go on at the moment.
No,
but I am excited for 2.5's World of Darkness. The fact that there's going to be 2 sets of weekly drops, and none of it is actual straight-up armor or items.
Are we sure about that? Because they've said that there will not, the upgrade items will be there, but they've said they will not be on the same drop restrictions as armor, but they haven't said, don't recall them saying specifically that it would not be armor, just that it would not be...
They said that there was going to be items for you to craft the weapons and armor.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. They've also said that they wanted to tie stuff into the Eureka vendors, which were in Final Fantasy III, if you've played it. So we may see also some of that at play here.
But we'll have to see.
Equally interesting, and this is something I talked about a couple weeks ago in the Mog Log. If you've been paying attention, basically every patch we've gotten a new set of dungeons, and we're getting another set with the Keeper of the Lake, and then Wanderer's Palace Hard and Andapur Keep Card. And every time the drops in the dungeon go up by another 10 levels. As you must have noticed, back in the day they were level 60 armors. Now they're tokens for the level 90 artifact plus 1 armors.
Yeah, which means that the new stuff would be I-100, which would be on par with the lowest possible currency that we can have right now.
Which would be interesting because we haven't actually had that happen yet. We've always had, the currency stuff is better than what you get in dungeons. So maybe the dungeons will drop more 90 tokens, maybe they'll drop 95, or maybe they won't drop straight armor pieces at all.
What are you thinking?
What I'm thinking, they might drop, for instance, crafting materials, the same stuff that you can get in the World of Darkness. They might drop vanity pieces. I think there are a lot of possibilities, but I'm saying it seems like it would be an odd time to say, yep, you can get for drops the same stuff you can buy for soldiery.
It might be another set.
It might be another set. It is possible. They could definitely just make another I-100 set and have that drop.
Well, they did that with the I-90s. Or not the I-90. No, it was the I-90.
No, there's only... You just get the tokens.
Okay, so it was the I-80 because it was the set before that then, because that's when we, in Hullbreaker and all that, we got another set there that was on par.
On par with Crystal Tower, but not on par with what the lowest level of purchasable gear was.
Oh. But I'm wondering, are they going to be adding these 3 to the Expert Roulette, or are they going to be bumping down the other, like the current 3 Expert Roulettes again?
Probably bumping down, but that's going to cause some other issues. But,
Personally, I don't want them to bump them down. I'd like to have 6 dungeons in that roulette, because goddamn, I'm tired of Sestasha.
Yeah, that's one of the recurring problems, and I'm hoping that we're going to see something done about that, especially in Heaven's Word, if not now, is that having only 3 dungeons in the highest level rotation always makes them feel really worn out by the time the next patch rolls around. Like,
I don't mind if it's 3 dungeons per patch.
Dungeons.
I don't mind if it's 3 dungeons per patch, but get it up to 6 and then rotate when the next 3 come out, bump the bottom 3 out.
Yeah. That's one of the more frustrating things, is that, right now, the high-level roulette consists of far more dungeons compared to what in an expert roulette. And you have, I mean, if you're trying to cap and you don't, have a regular, even if you, I think for a lot of people, even if you do have a regular coil group, you really need to be running those dungeons, and you're running them over and over and over, and they don't change that much from day to day.
High-level roulette consists of Wanderer's Palace, Andapur Keep, Pharaoh Sirius, Copperbell Hard, Hawk Manor Hard, Lost City Vandapur, Halatelli Hard, Brave Flocks Longstop Hard, Hullbreaker Isle, Town Terra Deepcroft Hard, and Stone Vigil Hard.
Yep. Meanwhile, expert is
Snowcloak, Sastasha, and
Karn,
Sunken Temple of Karn.
which is the one I always seem to get.
I would gladly take Karn over another freaking Sastasha.
Yeah, Sastasha's pretty annoying. Let's see which one's the most annoying one in the next patch, because there's always one.
I guarantee you, and I will put 100 gil on this, okay? The Keeper of the Lake is going to be the easiest.
Yeah, I think Keeper of the Lake is going to be easiest. I think, just because I think it's going to be worked into the story, much like how Snowcloak was. So, Keeper of the Lake is probably going to be the easiest. I'm going to go ahead and say probably Amdapur is going to be not going to be the annoying one. I think Wanderer's Palace Hard is going to be the annoying one.
More Tonberries?
More Tonberries, and a friend of mine was speculating the other day that with Hard we might actually go back and fight some of the slashers that were stalking us through the original version. So I can see how that could get annoying.
But it would make sense.
It would make sense, but I'm just saying I can see how Wanderer's Palace always kind of walked a fine line between being really thematically cool and really, really annoying.
All right. Well,
So
we're bouncing all over the place here, but there was so much to cover.
Yeah, we've had a lot of news over the past. So, of course, right as we went on a hiatus, we had a lot of news just drop on our faces right away.
We would have loved to come back and do it, but between holidays and the fact that I wasn't feeling too well, it wasn't going to work out. I mean, we had trouble trying to get this episode up and running.
The realities of scheduling.
Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Cookies.
Oh man, cookies are so good. So, what have we not yet touched upon that you would like to bring up?
I want that collector's edition. Oh, that looks so nice. The dragon statue. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, I think in my house we're probably going to get one with the boxed collector's edition and then one of the non-boxed collector's edition, like the digital upgrade, because need two statues in the house. So why don't we take a look over at our comments from the last video, from our year-end video, where we asked people what they were doing over the holidays, and we asked people to speculate on the jobs.
Let's see how many people were right, shall we?
Okay, let's start off. I'm going to start off with Dissidia Guru, who obviously Dark Knight was confirmed. So, and then they go on to say, so I'm going to say the gun job will be agent, and it'll be a healer support job.
Well, sorry, you didn't quite come out correct. Still, it was a good speculation.
You were correct in the sense that we have a healer support job and a gun job, but they are not the same job.
Now, Daniel Cormrow, I apologize, I probably just ruined your name. For the holidays, I will be visiting my parents over Christmas and probably working New Year's. New jobs, I'm expecting the gun class to be a healer, hoping for chemist. If the gun class is not a healer, then dancer for the healer job. I was thinking dancer could be similar to Final Fantasy Tactics dancer with debuffs. There's not that much other options for healer unless they add a new Final Fantasy job. For DPS, I'm hoping for Red Mage, was my main in 11, and was one of the original Final Fantasy 1 jobs. Now, on the cover of the art book, there is somebody holding a rapier.
Yes. And I remember back when 1.0 launched, there were a set of rapier skills that someone data mined.
Mm-hmm. So and I think it was called, what, was it Fencer?
Yeah, it was Fencer. So That did not quite pan out. But
No.
it doesn't look like we're not getting Dancer yet, and we're not getting Red Mage, and it's questionable. It's been mentioned before, but we've never actually gotten any hard data about what we would get.
I remember reading that list of old jobs.
Yep.
And Flare was mentioned on that, and that was a whip class, and I was like, oh, I want that.
Yeah, back in the day, back before we had jobs at all, back when, everything was classes, and it was kind of speculated that we just steadily get more classes rolled out over time. That wasn't what happened.
All right, your turn.
Yep. Barry Earp said, I'm really hoping that the gun-based job is Red Mage. Ever since 1.0, I remember people saying we want Red Mage, and I remember Yoshi P said the gun class wouldn't be what we're expecting. Also, if you've ever seen the anime Outlaw Star, the main character uses magic bullets called caster shells. I could see a gun mage in 11, but I really hope it's Red Mage. Yeah, a lot of people were hoping for Red Mage, but it is definitely not Red Mage. Red Mages are not on the table for this expansion.
Nikki Seven Solos says, Red Mage or Riot? Well, I expect a Riot now.
Yep.
I don't care if it's a healer. It probably would be. Give me some raid utility and a refresh and make it like Goad for NP. Weapon is rapiers / EPs. Cure spells mostly single target. Nukes mostly AoE. Weather as good as a white mage or black mage. And that sweet, sweet pimp hat. You know they can do it and make it work.
And they probably could, but that's unfortunately still not what we're getting. A lot of people want Red Mage, and a lot of people have... I find it interesting that there is a very strong contingent of people... Like, there is the, we need to have Red Mage be as close to Red Mage as possible, and then there's a contingent of people who are like, I really don't care how hard you have to shove it in here, but, you have gun class, you have healer, make it a Red Mage with a gun.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they bounce back and forth, but it's very clear that the community, at least the ones that are mentioning it on our topics, it's very clear that the community there really loves Red Mage, and I can't really fault them for that. It is a staple classic. It was very popular in 11.
And it did have an interesting role in 11, but I think one of the things I find interesting is also that people are kind of assuming that if Red Mage... or I should say when, Red Mage gets added, it would be a healing class, since that really was sort of its niche in 11. Healing as well as debuffing and buffing. But primarily, I remember most of the parties I was in at the end game as a Red Mage, my job was to heal. So
Yeah, you healed and enfeebled, and that was it.
And I think that might not be when we get Red Mage, I don't think that's necessarily what we're going to get. And I would cite as my case here, Ninja and Dark Knight have already established that what was true in 11 does not necessarily hold true for Final Fantasy 14. They are more than willing to tweak expectations for a class and make it a little different from what you might expect. So don't assume because it could do it in 11 that it can do it in 14. Personally, I think when we do get Red Mage, because I do think it's going to happen, it's going to be unique partly because it's going to be somewhere between Black Mage and, say, Dragoon, not in terms of abilities, but in terms of how it plays, that it is meant to be a hybrid melee spellcasting class.
It'd be interesting to have that class give out like AoE buffs to the party for end spells or something.
Yeah, I think that's honestly closer to what we'd see, probably be able to cross-class in like Cure and Protect. And I honestly think it would kind of, more occupy a niche, like similar to probably what Dark Knight's going to play like, except that it would be more of a DPS class compared to being a tank.
Speaking of which, did you see the Dark Knight in action?
Oh, yes, I did. And I cannot wait for... my alt is going to be maining that class like you wouldn't believe.
The battle stance is very aggressive. I like it. I like it a lot.
No, I saw all the classes in action. I was... Machinist looks just right. Dark Knight looks just right. Astrologian looks unusual and, almost totally original. Kind of... I find Astrologian looks more like it's inspired by time maids than really a direct derivation. You know what I mean?
I like the cards and the Astrolabe. Looks like a really interesting combo.
Yeah, it's very visually distinct, and it's very neat, and it's very. I'm especially Time Mage seemed like the obvious option, but it's always seemed a bit nebulous. Whereas this seems to have actually taken some nods from Bravely Default's handling of the class, which I think was a good call.
All right, I think that just about catches us up. There's so much to talk about that we can't go over it all, unfortunately.
No, we're kind of hitting it as we think of it. But next week we will have we will probably have our patch preview page up, and we will be ready to cover all the stuff that's going live in 2.5 because we will have everything nailed down. No, we won't.
No, not even close. But our episode will be a bit more structured next week as we return with a more set pattern. Once again, in the description below the YouTube video will be a Dropbox link with every single episode on MP3 format. So if you prefer listening to MP3s, you can just click that and bookmark it, and I will be updating it every week once the episode goes live.
However, before we get going, we do want to ask a question for our viewers this week.
Yes,
Just
indeed.
like do you have a question in mind? Because I certainly do.
Go for it.
All right. Well, we're at the start of the new year. We're at the start of a new season, and Nell has unfortunately nixed my comedy accents. But being as we are at the start of the new year, there's a lot of stuff coming out for Final Fantasy XIV. There's a lot of stuff coming. So we want to know this year, what are you hoping to accomplish this year? Are you just hoping to play Heavensward? Are you going to level one of the new jobs? Are you going to level your old job to the max? Are you hoping to really get into Alexander hard mode once that goes live? Are you hoping to still kind of do the same endgame stuff? What is your big goal for the next year in Final Fantasy XIV based on what you know now?
That is a tough question. Based off of what I know now, I would say my goal is to keep doing what I do and have fun with the game and the community.
Yeah, I know I want to get Ninja to 60. I know I want to get Machinist to 60. And I expect, I'll still be mostly running roulettes and getting the equivalent. I don't think it's going to still be tomestones, but whatever. Get that gear, have fun, roleplay, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the new currency is. Maybe next week we can do a speculation topic.
That seems like a good one. But for this week, what are you going to do next year?
Well, this year.
Well, yeah, this year, but the year that's just starting. 2015. What are you going to do in 2015?
All right, then. With that in mind, everybody, please leave your thoughts and comments in the box below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us both on Twitter. I'm Nell Celestine.
And I'm Elliot_Lefebvre.
Kind of comments officially on the Lodestone topic as well. The Lodestone topic, YouTube and Twitter are the best ways to reach us. We do check other places, but unfortunately, these are the best spots to reach us because the other ones, we don't notice them right away.
Yep.
With that in mind, everybody, I think that's the end of this week's episode. So I'm Nell Celestine.
And I'm Elliot Lefebvre.
Bidding you adieu.
Bye.